presidente de ICD, Alison Lodge, va a iniciar su video y su audio ya está ya conectada, solo que está preparando los últimos detalles. Yo espero que disfruten esta charla y cualquier pregunta, para los que acaban de llegar, está el chat box a un lado para que puedan hacer todas sus preguntas. Saludos a Liliana desde Colombia. Y puedan hacer sus preguntas dirigidas a todo el foro y yo las transmitiré al final de la charla a Alison. Bienvenidos. Por favor, les invito a que apaguen sus cámaras y sus micrófonos. Now it's time to present our fabulous host. May I say that? May I say something about you? Okay. Thank you very much for being here. We're going to have a little chat with Alison Lodge. She's a professional organizer since 2010. She lives in Montreal, in the province of Quebec, in Canada. She's member of POC, Professional Organizer of Canada, NAPO, National Association of Productivity and Organizing Professionals, and a subscriber of ICD, Institute for Challenging Disorganization. And she's also the president of ICD. She is a master trainer, the highest level of achievement in ICD. This certificate is to develop and acknowledge leadership, publication, training, service, and commitment to the field of study and exploration of chronic disorganization and organization. Recently, she was contacted by Quebec government to teach about chronic disorganization in French, which happens to be her second language. Please welcome to Alison Lodge. Thank you, Madam President. The mic is yours.
Thank you very, very much, Nacho, for your warm and kind introduction. And thank you especially for organizing this wonderful, wonderful idea of meeting with international organizers who would like to learn about ICD. This is a fantastic idea, and I'm thrilled to be able to offer some information. Before I get started with my actual presentation, I know that Nacho has suggested to the participants to have their cameras turned off and their microphones turned off. Just to reassure you, at the end of the presentation, we will be inviting you to all come back on screen and to unmute yourselves so that you can ask questions. So there will be time at the end for participation, and I quite look forward to that. I do have a brief sort of semi-formal presentation. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get started with that right now. I'm going to share my screen with you all and start my presentation and just move this out of the way. And I will also reassure you all that this presentation is being recorded. So
is there a problem, Alison? Alison, are you there? I'm gonna interrupt you if you can hear me, Alison. I know you're trying to put yourself through your cell phone. If it is the case of we are losing you, I know you're going to try another way to be with us. Les voy a comentar esto en español. A veces se tienen problemas de comunicación por el ancho de banda, entonces lo que Alison trata de hacer en esas ocasiones es conectarse por otro medio. Are you there now?
I am here now.
Okay, that's great.
This happens to me once in a while that my internet goes funny, so let's not panic. I will always come back on screen one way or another, and I apologize in advance. So
no, it's okay.
I'll get right to the presentation and we'll see how far we get. Thank you very much for your patience, everyone. So ICD, I'm extremely proud to be representing ICD today. I'll make the formal presentation a little bit brief just in case I do have technical problems. And that way, worst case scenario, I'll be on my telephone talking to you where there's never any problems. And we will record this and we will answer all your questions eventually. So please, let's not worry about the technology. We can manage around the technology. So what I would like to talk with you about today is what you see on the screen. A brief history of ICD, ICD today, definition of chronic disorganization, ICD classes and the vault, certificates and certification, and ICD resources. So a brief history of ICD. Judith Kohlberg did a presentation at a NAPO conference in 1992 where she spoke about her clients, and she said they don't respond well to traditional organizing strategies. So she developed a way of identifying this clientele, and she developed the original strategies to help this clientele. And the organizers in the NAPO audience went, oh my goodness, you're talking about a lot of my clients and I really need to learn more about this. So she published this book. Nacho, I can hear some noise in the background. If you could just double check to make sure everybody is muted, please. It would help for the quality of the recording.
Okay.
And in the chat box, you can mute them yourself. You can mute everybody yourself. So in 1998, Judith Kohlberg published this book, which I highly recommend that you get, but Nacho has translated it into Spanish. It's over here on the right-hand side. It was published last year, so you can purchase that directly from Nacho or directly from Amazon. I'm not sure exactly where, but you can get this book, and I highly recommend it. If there's only one book in your library about chronic disorganization, this is the one that I recommend that you get. The work that Judith did in the first years with the other organizers became the Institute for Challenging Disorganization, which has existed since 2001. So what I'd like you to understand is that NAPO is a professional association based in the United States. It's available to everybody all over the planet, but fundamentally it's an American association. Professional Organizers of Canada is the same concept, but based in Canada. There's an association in the United Kingdom. There's an association in the Netherlands. There's an association in Japan. All of these associations serve the purpose of supporting us as we work as entrepreneurs to understand the laws, to make sure that we have an ethical code, to make sure that we get insured, etc. ICD is completely unique. This is what I'd like you to understand. ICD is a school, and the school is available for everybody all over the planet. Our goal is not to tell you about the laws in your country or how to make a business in your country. Our job is to help you understand clients who have special needs and how you can work with those clients and develop strategies so that you can be a more powerful and useful support to your clients. So we're going to go to the next slide. Currently, ICD has subscribers in at least 10 countries. I looked on our website today to try to double check. So these are all the countries that we already have subscribers in today. We have almost 400 subscribers. And the thing about our community is there seems to be two big groups in our community. One group is people who come in, they get some certificates, they get some education, they're very happy, and then they leave because they got what they needed to come for. And that's wonderful. We are very happy to have people just come in and take the classes and get the education and go. Then there's another group of people like Nacho and myself, and we come in and we get the education and we feel so good in this community with these other organizers who have a similar mindset and a similar clientele. And we say, oh, this is where I belong. And so we just stay and we just stay forever, and we volunteer and we go to the conferences and we just keep getting a more and more education because it serves us so well. I am in my 9th year now as a subscriber for ICD, and I will be a subscriber forever. For sure, it's guaranteed. ICD will never stop being my absolute preferred community in this field. So I don't know which group you might belong to, but we accept everybody who wants to come and get education at ICD, regardless of how long they stay. The definition of chronic disorganization is very important to understand. I'm not going to go into it in depth right now because we cover that in our first introductory class, which I would be very happy to give you one day, a presentation on basic chronic disorganization. And this definition is the home page of the ICD website. So I just wanted to draw your attention to it. I encourage you to understand what this definition is. And if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email or send Nacho an email. ICD classes and the vault. So I've already told you that ICD is a school. So what we do is we offer education. And I'm going to show you on the ICD website how this works. So here we are on the home page. I'm going to log in if it allows me. Yes, it will. That's not the right, that's my admin sign in, excuse me. There we go. Okay, so I'm into the website now as a subscriber. So there's a calendar here, and the calendar shows us all the classes coming up. So this is the class on the 14th of August and the 21st of August and the 28th of August. And so the classes are offered every week on a specific night. And then after the classes happen, they are recorded and they are put into what we call the vault. So I'm going to take you to the vault and show you where that is. Education classes, the vault. So if you were a subscriber, this is what you would be able to do. So we have a list of, there's about 200 classes currently in the vault that we all have access to all the time. So now I'm in the vault. It's like a library of classes, and they're all in here. And they're in different folders so that depending on what your interest is, if you're interested in working with senior citizens, aging people who have chronic disorganization, you go into the aging folder. If you're interested in working with clients with ADHD and CD, you go into the ADHD folder. If you want to see the most recent classes, you click on the recent classes folder. So these are the most recent classes that we have offered. And if we just click on one class, here's the one that was one of my very favorites. And we have the audio recording. If you prefer just to listen to the class, you can listen to it on your iPhone or something like that. We have the video recording and we have the handout. In all of these folders, you should find three things: the audio, the video, and the handout for the current classes. For the very old classes, like 2 years and 3 years and 4 years ago, it's probably just the audio recording because we didn't have as sophisticated technology a few years ago, but the classes, the content is still very, very valuable. So don't worry if there's no video, the classes are still worth listening to. I want to show you what this looks like because I am very proud of the technology that ICD is using today. So all you have to do is just click on this, and you click on the class and it just starts showing on your screen just like that. And I can fast forward and I can download this. I'm pretty sure I can download the classes. So that's the way classes work. This woman is a researcher in the Netherlands, and she studies sleep and circadian rhythm. And she was kind enough to come and offer us a class teaching us all about how sleep works and how we can improve our sleep and the importance of sleep, because we find, for example, that our clients living with chronic disorganization, many of them are disorganized during the day because they have sleep disorders. So if we can help them organize a better sleep, it has a positive impact on their day. That's one example of how ICD works. So we have this clientele, which are people affected by chronic disorganization every day in their lives. Their life is just a bit more difficult and it's a bit complex. We don't know why. So in ICD, our interest is to help to be a detective and to try to understand, why is it difficult for this person? What can we work on in order to take away the difficulties so that they can have a more organized and peaceful and successful life according to whatever their values are? So now I'm going to go away from this page. I'm going to go back to, so that was the vault. That's a very important part of ICD education. So we have the live classes every week. And if a person is not available to see the live classes, they can go to the vault anytime. So premium subscribership is 440 American dollars per year. And that gives a person unlimited access to all the classes. Now, I've made a little chart. I'm going to show you. Give me 1 second, please. Presentation, 24th. I made a little chart to show the cost of the ICD classes. I think that this is really exciting. Excuse me, I didn't insert this into my presentation. So if a person pays, just a second, let me get rid of that thing. Sorry about this. There we go. So if a person pays $439 American for a premium subscribership, and they take 1 class per month, the class they'll take 12 classes in the year, and it'll cost $36.58 American for 1 class, okay? If a person takes 2 classes per month, that means they're taking 24 classes in a year, and the cost of each class is now $18.29. And you can see the logic. So if I take 5 classes a month, because I can take as many as I can take all the classes if I want to, because as a premium subscriber, it's unlimited, literally no limit. So if I take 5 classes a month in 4 weeks, that's not a lot. It's only 1 hour per class. I can take 5 classes a month, no problem, if I organize it for myself. That's 60 classes a year. That's 60 educational hours. That's an amazing investment in my professional life, and investment in my strategies for my clients, and my understanding and my confidence, and the confidence the clients can have in me. It's very powerful. And if I take 5 classes a month, the cost for each class is $7.32 per class. I think that's a very, very powerful statistic. And that's what I recommend to anybody coming into ICD, is that they sign up for a premium subscribership for 1 year, take as much education as you can and as you want, and then decide if it's for you to continue afterwards or you just want the 1 year. It's totally up to you. Let's go back to my presentation. So that's about the ICD classes and the ICD Vault. That's our biggest subscriber benefit. Next, ICD certificates and certification. So the thing that everybody, all of us in our industry, we need to understand is the difference between a certificate and certification. So a certificate is that piece of paper on the wall you see behind me. It's a piece of paper that's certificate. That's a paper. Certification means a great big complicated test, and I passed an exam, and I have to pass new tests every 3 years in order to maintain certification. So certification applies to the person, not the piece of paper. So I happen to have both certificates and certification. So many of you might be familiar with the CPO certification in the United States, the Certified Professional Organizer. That's certification. That applies to the individual, and it has to be repeated every 3 years or else it disappears. That piece of paper I have on the wall, the certificate, I have it forever. I don't have to repeat it. So that's important to understand. In ICD, the way that it works, this is a very simple drawing of what is actually a complex system, but don't be intimidated by it. And again, if you ever have any questions, don't hesitate to send me an email or Nacho. So a person starts here when they come into ICD and they go up. We have 10 different certificates available. We have one on ADHD, one on hoarding, one on aging, et cetera, et cetera. You can see all of this on the website. Take your time on the website. You don't need to understand a lot right now. Just understand the first level of ICD education is 10 simple certificates. Each certificate is just 6 classes. You just listen to 6 specific classes, and then you pay for the certificate, and then you've got it. And that's a certificate that you can put on your social media, you can tell your clients about, and it makes you feel proud because it's a symbol of the work that you invested and the investment you made in yourself professionally. The one thing about this level that you need to understand is that we have one certificate that ICD considers to be the most important. So we call it the foundation certificate, and it's just about basic chronic disorganization. And we need for everybody to take that particular certificate before they get anything else, because we know that it's such basic information about chronic disorganization, that's the first one that you would need to take. Then you can take anything else you want. So that's level 1. If you get those basic certificates and you want to have deeper education and more confidence and more skills for your clients, there are 4 certificates, specialist certificates available up here at the purple level. So they are chronic disorganization, ADHD, hoarding, and aging. And the reason it's those 4 specific subjects is because we find in ICD that the majority of our clients are affected by ADHD, hoarding, and aging, besides the chronic disorganization. So those are the subjects that are the most interesting and important in our clients, which is why ICD developed specialist certificates. So that means 6 more classes in that area. So if I just got my level 2 aging certificate this week, as a matter of fact. So I had 6 classes for my level 1 certificate. Then to go up to level 2, I had to take 6 more classes, plus I had to read 4 books, plus I had to write an exam. So it's more complex, it's a little bit more challenging, it's a little bit more expensive, but it's much more education. And I feel really confident now about my understanding of the aging population. And I know that it was a really valuable investment for me. So that's level 2. ICD has 3 more levels of education, which I did not put on the screen because it's just fewer people get up there. So I don't want to confuse you with it. The level 3 is our certification level. That's a 20-month program where the student is matched up with a mentor, like a private teacher, and the 2 of them privately together go through the 20-month program. They meet every month for 20 months. And at the end of it, the student has to have an in-person 1-hour-long interview to verify that they have met the requirements of the level and that they've done all the homework, et cetera, and everything is good. And then that person can become certified. So we have I'm not sure of the exact number right now, something like 100 people in the world who have the CPOCD qualification. We have 7 in Canada. I'm in Canada. We have 7 in Canada. The most of them are in the States. We have some elsewhere in the world, in Australia and in the Netherlands. So it's a very special community of people who have very, very deep specialist education in this area. And then we have a level 4 program and a level 5 program as well, but I'm not going to go into those details. All of the information is available on the website. And if you have any specific questions, don't ever hesitate to reach out to myself or Nacho. Okay, so we're going to go to the next slide. So ICD has a lot of resources. Even though we're just a school, we do have a lot of resources. So the vault, I've talked to you about that. That's the library of all of the recorded classes. We have approximately 40 new live classes every year. There are no classes on American holidays, and sometimes we replay an older class if it's been updated, approximately 40 new classes per year. We have an ambassador program, which is, for example, I'm the ambassador for people who speak French in Canada. So if a new person becomes a subscriber in Canada, they send me a message and they say, this person is a new subscriber. And I reach out to that person personally and I say, hi, I'm Allison. I'm the ambassador who's been asked to reach out to you. And we develop a personal connection so I can offer support to that person so that they don't feel alone and they can ask questions. So that's the ambassador role. We have Connect Up groups. I'm not sure how many we have right now, maybe 5 or 6 Connect Up groups, I think, and they only started a year ago. Some of them are based on region. So we have, for example, a very successful one in Australia, New Zealand, and Asia. So we have one group there. We have one group in California. We have one group for retired people. So we have all these different groups, and they develop based on a theme. So the theme could be where the people are located. It could be based on specific interests that they have or specific time in their career. It doesn't matter, but it's a subscriber benefit only available to ICD subscribers, and it helps give us more community and connection. We have a private Facebook group, and that's a valuable place for people to ask questions and offer extra information that could be of value to our colleagues in our industry. It's one of my most favorite places to go on Facebook, is the ICD subscribers Facebook group. We have a weekly newsletter that goes out every Thursday night, and it has news, it has information, it has community. It's a way to keep us all connected. We have education mentors. So if you remember being back in school, probably in most schools, they have some kind of a person who is a resource who helps you figure out where you want to go and what you want to do with your education. That's what an education mentor is. So these people are paired up one-on-one. If a subscriber wants more help to figure out which certificate should I go for the level 2, et cetera, this person is a private person assigned to a subscriber and helps them figure out how to meet their own needs. We have fact sheets. I want to show you on the website. The fact sheets are really cool. So this is the website again. And if we go to the resources page and the fact sheets, this is available to the public. You can access this yourself today. You don't have to be a subscriber. So right now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We have 7 ready right now, and there's one on its way. We actually have about 20 of these fact sheets available, but we're in the process of updating them so that they are modern and they use the best references, because some of these were created a number of years ago and that have the right logo on them, etc. So I want to show you my very favorite one on this page. My very favorite one is number 4, factors associated with chronic disorganization. And you can download this. This is an amazing resource, this page, because this gives us, it's sort of like a menu of all the different subjects which could be affecting our clients and contributing to them being affected by chronic disorganization. Chronic disorganization is, it could be almost anything. It could be caused by a lack of education, or a lack of sleep, or a lack of understanding, or a lack of concentration, or a lack of tools, or too much backlog, or it could be caused by all kinds of different things. So ICD subscribers are encouraged to think like a detective and try to figure out, oh, is this a factor? Is this a factor? Because once we figure out what the contributing factors are, then we can tailor our strategies specifically so that that person can have the biggest success possible. That's one of the things that's really unique about ICD education and the ICD mentality. So I encourage you to look at this and the other fact sheets. We also have, I'm going to show you my book here, the ICD Guide for Professional Organizers. This is a wonderful, wonderful book. The fact sheets are also in here, and this is a really fantastic book. If you were going to get a second book after the chronic disorganization one that I showed you that Nacho translated, if you were going to get a second book, this is the one I strongly recommend. And you can order it, I'm pretty sure you can order it from Amazon. And you can certainly find it on the ICD website and click on the button and buy it that way. It's a very, very good reference for any professional organizer. That's the thing about ICD, is the education that we offer is not just for people who work with people affected by chronic disorganization. Our education can be valuable for all professional organizers, regardless of what their specialty is. Other ICD resources, as I showed you before, we have certificates available. We have 14 certificates available for you to earn. We have the certification program, which is very, very powerful. When a person graduates and they become certified, it's a whole other level of confidence and professionalism, and the clients look at us differently, and we have more respect from our colleagues. And we differentiate ourselves from our colleagues in our region, like the competition. We're all in competition a little tiny bit, but if we get certification and invest in our education for ourselves, we differentiate ourselves from people who are perhaps less focused than we are. So fundamentally, to sum it up, the ICD resources give us 3 things. ICD resources give us professional education, strategies for our client work, and a professional community that's very, very valuable. And that's I think that's the end of the formal part of my presentation. Just let me double check the website to see if there's anything else on here that I wanted to point out. Talked about that. ICD is currently a member of the International Federation of Professional Organizing Associations, and we have specific affiliate agreements with all of these different professional associations across the world. We're very, very proud of these collaborations, and we're working on other ones. Let me see what else is on this website. I love this website. Education, we have a conference coming up in 3.5 weeks in Orlando. We have an annual event, which we're very excited about. The certification we talked about. We also have research. Now, research is something that has been a little bit on the back burner for the last couple of years. Now we're starting to revive the whole research part of ICD. What ICD wants to do, and has done in the past, is partner up with researchers who are doing actual scientific research, studying issues that affect our clients. So we want to encourage research in this area, serious scientific professional research, and then share the results with our community. So this is also something that's very unusual about ICD, and there's more information on this site, and we're in the process of updating all of this. Oh, the resources, there's 2 more resources that I need to show you, very important. So the clutter to hoarding scale. Now this is available in Spanish. Let me just, it's available here. Yes, here it is. You can download this. Nacho was very generous and kind and translated this into Spanish for us. So you can download this today. This is a very valuable tool. And what it does is it talks about the physical environment. So this is not an analysis of the person. This is analysis of the environment. So you walk into a client situation, and this will help you understand how serious the disorganization is. I will let you study this on your own. I strongly recommend that you print this up and that you keep a copy with you. And I print this up in color, double-sided. I print it up and I fold it up and I hand it to my clients if they're interested, because this is very valuable information. The other resource on here, the Clutter Quality of Life Scale, this is interesting because it doesn't talk about the environment, it talks about the human experience. So the Clutter Hoarding Scale talked about just the environment and evaluated the environment. This here, the Clutter Quality of Life Scale, evaluates the personal experience. How stressful is the clutter in my life? How much is it affecting me? It's a very interesting tool. And Nacho has also translated this into Spanish. So it's available here. You can access it. You can fill it out yourself. You can invite your clients to fill it out. This is a very valuable tool, because if there are 2 people living in an environment, it's very possible that one person will have no stress or anxiety, and the other person in the same environment could have high stress and anxiety. It's a personal reaction. So that's why this tool is so very valuable for us. And subscribers, we've talked about that. Okay, I think we've talked about everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing now, and I'm going to say thank you very much for listening and for your participation today and for showing up, and thank you to Nacho for organizing all of this. And I'm going to invite Nacho to come back on screen and on mic so that we can have a conversation. And if anybody has any questions or comments, I'd be very happy to try to respond any way that I can.
Thank you very much, Alison, for this wonderful presentation. I think all of my colleagues from all over the Hispanic world, all of them, we're having people from Argentina, Dominican Republic, from obviously Mexico, and others. So they are very excited of this presentation, and they've got some questions.
Wonderful.
Well, right now, Israel from Mexico is asking if we are thinking on doing our classes in Spanish.
That's an excellent question. And we have so many languages across the world where we would like to offer our education. Right now, ICD is not in a position to translate our classes into Spanish. It's just not possible. We don't have the resources. We're a very small school. Our specialty is creating the education. So our first step in the Spanish-speaking world is to reach out to people who are bilingual in English and at least try to offer you the education so that you can benefit from it. What I will tell you though is if you have some English, I really strongly encourage you nonetheless to consider becoming a subscriber, because as I showed you in the vault, if you have some English, you can watch those videos and you can watch them again, and you can take your time and you can pause and you can look up a word, and it's totally, you are in charge of the speed that you watch the video, and you have the handout as well. So if you have some English, you have a very good chance of benefiting from our education. Just don't listen to the live classes. Listen to them recorded so that you're in control. For the time being, that's all I can tell you. We are working on it. Nacho and I are very motivated to bring this education to other languages, Spanish, French, etc. And as soon as it's possible, believe me, we will do it.
Thank you. Anyone else have another question? Please let me know about those questions on the chat box, please. Okay, Yvonne, I think you met Yvonne.
Hi, Yvonne.
She's asking you, what do we do at conference?
Oh, conference is 2 very full days. Hello, Yvonne, nice to see you.
Hi.
So I met Yvonne at the NAPO conference earlier this year. The ICD conference is very similar in that it's education, education, education with opportunities for social contact in between. There's a couple of differences about the ICD conference. First of all, it's much smaller. At the ICD conference, we're going to have about 125 delegates. So for us, that's a big group of people. But it's very intimate compared to NAPO. It's very intimate. Also, we don't have 2 sessions at the same time, so you have to make a choice. We have everybody in the room all the time together so that nobody misses anything. We have very high level quality presenters. If you look at the ICD website on the conference tab, you will see the list of presenters that we have. And I think that there are also small YouTube videos linked to each of those presenters, so you can see what the subjects are that they're going to be talking about. They're going to be talking about ADHD and hoarding and autism and I have too much in my brain right now. I can't remember the other ones, but there's, I believe, 7 presenters plus an international hoarding panel, which I don't think any other conference has ever offered before, an international hoarding panel. We have participants from Mexico, the United States, Canada, the Netherlands, Japan, and Australia.
Yeah. Korea also?
No, she's not on the panel. Japan.
Okay.
Japan.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, you're right.
And it's going to be very interesting and exciting. Plus all the opportunities in between the classes to meet with each other and talk with each other. So that's what the ICD conference is. It's very educational, very educational. Good investment. Yeah.
Okay. We've got another question about the conference. What's the cost of this conference in Orlando? Are you there, Alison? We lost you? Okay, well, I'm gonna tell you. The cost for the conference is like $700 American dollars. I'm gonna give you the exact amount in a few moments. According to, well, if you belong to ICD, it's cheaper than that, but I'm gonna tell you what's the price in a few moments. Oh, you're back, Alison.
I'm sorry. Hey, we were lucky to get through this whole presentation without
yes.
Up. Sorry about that.
So there's a question about how is the cost, how much is the cost for the conference?
Yeah, that's what I'm looking up.
Okay,
I think it's $750 if a person is a member of NAPO or POC or another association. I'm just going to double check.
Okay.
It is here on the website. Conference registration options. It is for anybody who's a member of NAPO, it's $700. If a person is not a member of NAPO or another international association affiliated with ICD, it's $800.
Okay. So Denise, she's from Brazil, but she's living in Mexico. She's asking us about if we have the simultaneous interpreters at conference, or if we are thinking on having that, but the answer is no.
Not this year. It's an excellent idea. It's an absolutely excellent idea. I think it would, one thing I think it would be worth taking 2 minutes to explain to everybody here is that up until last year, up until 2018, ICD was being managed by an association management company. So we had a board of directors, but this company was running ICD on a daily basis. 1 year ago, ICD took back the control, and now we're managing it ourselves with more volunteers. And so we're kind of still in a transition period. It's a huge responsibility. And this is the first conference that we're putting on ourselves. And so we're just learning how to do it. I mean, it's going to be fantastic. It's going to be one of our best conferences ever. I know that that's the case. I've been very involved in the organization, helping, observing the people who are organizing it. It's very impressive. But just so that you understand, this big transition that we've been going through, which is very good for ICD, it has taken a lot of our time and energy. So interpreting, translating, offering in different languages, this is a high priority for us, but it has to come after the transition is complete.
Okay, well, I've got another question. One is about the exam. Maggie from Mexico is asking if we can have the final examination with a translator or with an interpreter.
Do you mean the exam for the level 2?
I think she's meaning, yeah.
Okay, because there's 2 different levels of exam. There's the exam for the level 2 specialist certificates that I mentioned earlier with the chart. That would definitely be something that we could probably arrange to get the exam translated into Spanish. That would not be very complicated.
Okay.
The actual exam, what we call the peer review, at the end of the level 3 program for the certification, you know, the 20-month program, that we cannot translate because it's 5 people in the room interviewing someone, and that we would not be able to interpret, I'm sure.
Yeah, okay. Well, there's another question about conference. Yvonne is asking if you need to be a member to get to the conference.
No, no, no. Anybody from the public is welcome to join us for the conference. It's $800 for the public for the 2 days. And if a person wanted to come just for 1 day, they could come, and it would be $400 just for that 1 day if they want to come.
Okay. Well, I've got another interesting questions. Denise, she's asking, which is the best way to determine if she's about to work with someone who has this kind of disorder, chronic disorganization, or anything like it?
The very best advice that I can give to all organizers is to look at the definition of chronic disorganization, which is the home page of the ICD website. First of all, understand what that is. There's 4 criteria. It's really simple, but understand it, please. After that, go to the resources tab and look at the different resources, the clutter quality of life scale, the clutter to hoarding scale, and the fact sheets, and download them all and read them and start learning what chronic disorganization looks like and what it feels like and what might be chronic disorganization, and think about people you know and how this person lives and what could, just start opening your mind. It has to do with opening your mind and being curious. That's what it has to do with. So use those fact sheets and those resources and start looking big.
Okay, great. Maria Alejandra from Argentina, she's asking if we can sign in from web. She's meaning, I don't know if she's meaning about the conference, that you can sign up for the conference from the website.
You can certainly register for the conference from the ICD website. You just click on the button, you register, you pay your money, and you're done. No problem. You can't attend the conference from the internet. If you want to go to the ICD conference in Orlando, you have to go there physically, because we can't share it over the internet. Not this year. Maybe in the future, but not this year. Okay.
Gabby from Mexico, she's you did mention about some health problems like sleep disorder or cardiac disorders that can affect people in the way they can organize themselves. Other health issues can affect organizing or develop one person's chronic disorganization.
Absolutely, 100%. We even have a certificate based on health conditions, and it involves health conditions, diseases, physical disabilities, like if a person's in a wheelchair or they use crutches or they have a traumatic brain injury or they have lung problems or all kinds of issues can easily affect a person's ability to become organized or stay organized. And having a professional organizer who has specialty training and that curiosity about wanting to support a person, that's one of the best assets that that individual can have, is having the ICD mentality on their team.
Great. And Marilyn, also from Mexico, she's asking, what is the process to get the basic chronic disorganization level? She's not quite clear if it requires an exam or not.
Excellent question. Thank you for asking. Okay, so if you are interested in ICD education today and you just want to walk in the door and get the minimum and get the most out of it, what I recommend is that you go to the ICD website and you sign up to become a subscriber. And you have two options. No, you have several options, maybe 3 or 4 coming in the door, but I recommend one in particular. It's called the Premium Plus subscriber level. And that gives you 1 year of unlimited education, all the education you want for 1 year, plus it gives you the bonus of your first certificate is already paid for. It's a very good savings of money. I think it saves you around 50 or 60 American dollars. It's a big savings. So if you pay for the Premium Plus subscribership, you get 1 year of education and your first certificate is already paid. Go for that first certificate. It's the foundation certificate. It's the CD certificate, the chronic disorganization certificate. That's the best education that you can get. It's 6 classes. There's no exam. To become a subscriber, there's no exam. You just walk in the door, you just click the buttons and you just become a subscriber and you pay and you're a subscriber. You're a student. Take the first certificate, get the certificate, put it on your Facebook page, put it on your Instagram, tell all your clients that you've got this new certificate. It's going to make you feel proud and confident. And then you can continue taking education throughout the year and you can get more certificates if you want to. The exams only start after the first level of certificate. You have 10 certificates available down here at the bottom. There's no exams of any kind. It's only if you want to go further in 4 different areas that the exams start. So don't be stressed out about the exams.
Perfect. So now Yvonne is asking, if you do you need to be a subscriber to ICD to get all the graphics and resources?
No, actually, ICD is very generous, which I'm very proud of. I'm very proud that ICD is generous about this. So as a person in the public right now, as soon as we finish this call, you can go to the ICD website, all of you right now, and you can access the clutter to hoarding scale right now in Spanish, thanks to Nacho, and you can download it and you can share it with your clients. The clutter quality of life scale, you can access it in Spanish, thanks to Nacho, and you can share it with your clients. You can access 9 of the ICD fact sheets right now. You can download them right now for free. ICD is very generous with basic information about that. And I strongly encourage you, all of you, to go and get all of those resources right away and start thinking about it and sharing them with your clients and your colleagues.
Perfect. Liliana from Cancun, Mexico, she's asking, if a lost living in a mourning, you know, when you lost someone beloved,
Yes.
is included between in the factors that could affect the organization.
Absolutely. Grieving. Absolutely. If a person is going through grieving, absolutely it would affect the way that they manage in their everyday life. 100%. Yes.
Okay. And Marta from Querétaro, Mexico is asking if you can repeat all the 4 different areas that goes after the foundation certificate, please.
Sure. So the first one is chronic disorganization. So it's just more education about chronic disorganization. ADHD, that's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. The third one is hoarding disorder. And the fourth one is aging issues. So everything having to do about older people.
Perfect. What else? So we'll cover all the bases, I think. Oh my God, he's Maria Alejandra from Argentina. If one person, one organizer by himself or herself, with the knowledge of ICD, does need to work with psychologists or psychiatrists in some cases?
That's an excellent question. So many ICD organizers work very closely with psychologists and psychiatrists. Many of them do. Literally, they refer people back and forth to each other, and that's how their business is set up. But not all ICD organizers. Me, for example, I'm now in my 9th year, and my specialty is working with clients who are affected by chronic disorganization. And I have never worked with a psychiatrist or a psychologist. It just doesn't seem to be an issue, primarily because, and this is an important thing I think that we understand in ICD, is that a person can live in disorganization, but they will only change their situation when they are ready. So just because I can see some solutions that might help the person, if the person is not ready to make those changes, there's nothing I can do. So if a client is not ready or willing to go and see a psychiatrist or a psychologist, there's nothing I can do about that. But maybe I can still help them in their daily life to make their daily life better. So there's that. And also, not all of our clients need a psychiatrist or a psychologist. If you look at that one chart, my very favorite fact sheet, number 4, the factors, the big chart with the colors, if you look at that, you will see there are so many different things that can cause chronic disorganization in a person's life. And only some of those issues would really require a psychologist or a psychiatrist. Many of them just need analysis or physical support or dealing with the backlog or many other solutions. I hope that was helpful.
Okay. Fernanda, she's also from Brazil, but she's living in Mexico and Mexico City. How can you rather choose between helping a chronic disorganization client or indicate to a professional psychological help prior on the organization job based on your experience and certifications? She's telling me that in her PO education, we're taught not to do this type of clients. This is important.
It's a very important question. So it sounds to me, if I understand the question correctly, and Nacho, tell me if I'm not understanding well. My understanding is what she's asking is, how do we know that we should be working with this client? How do I know that I have the skills to be able to help this client in a responsible and professional way? So there's 2 things I do. First of all, I get as much education as I can, because the more education I get, the more it helps me understand.
Oops, we lost you again. Please be patient, all of you. Probably she's trying to connect herself through the phone. Please don't be impatient. I hope you're enjoying this chat with Alison Lush. Yeah, she's not here yet, but if you have another question, please. Si tienen más preguntas, por favor, adelante. Tengo un par de preguntas que hacer en cuanto regrese. Hi, Alison. We lost you again. Please.
There we go. Okay. So
okay.
I was answering the question saying,
yeah.
I listen to my instincts. And sometimes when I'm talking to a potential client over the phone right away, I have an understanding. Am I muted? No, I'm not.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right away, I have a sense in my head. I don't think that this client and I are going to make a successful team together. And so I listen to that instinct. And a couple of times I've gone to meet with the client anyway, because I really wanted to have a new client, and I would go and meet with them. And I would just have even more feeling like it's not going to work between me and this person. Part of the reason why it doesn't work is if the person has unrealistic expectations. That's a really big red flag in my head. Like, if they have unrealistic expectations, I should not get involved with them. Working with a person affected by chronic disorganization is frequently very slow. It takes a long time to make progress. And so if the client thinks that we can do like a whole room in one day and it'll be done and it'll be fixed, they don't understand how complex their situation is. And that to me is making me very cautious. And the other thing is, if they want me to do the work for them, if they say, I want you to do my kitchen for me, it's fine if it's a client who doesn't have any chronic disorganization issues. I could do their kitchen for them because they don't have issues. But if a client is very attached to their things and they don't like getting rid of things and they have a backlog and they have chronic disorganization issues, I can't do their kitchen for them. We have to do it together because they have to make every single choice. I can't make the choices for them. I can encourage them and I can give them options and ideas to help them so that they can make their choices, but they have to make every single choice themselves. It belongs to them.
Okay. If I may say, every client has money, but not every client is a fit for us.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep.
So trust in your feelings, in your gut feelings, in your instinct.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Next question from Moni Torres from Playa del Carmen in Mexico. She's more interested in corporate disorganization. So doing this or helping this corporate or business or offices could impact lives of the employees in a personal level. Do you think that?
Definitely. There's a couple of things. First of all, when you have a group of people working together, you need to have a structure that is very well defined and clear so that everybody coming in can understand what the structure is. When they share an office and they share a filing system, etc., it has to be very, very clear. And often when it doesn't work, it's because there are some people on the team who may be affected by chronic disorganization. And so the contributions that they make to the company might not be very helpful. And so sometimes in a corporate situation, you might identify, oh, that person seems to be struggling, and maybe the company would be willing to let you work with that individual. It would be a big help to the company if you could help that individual deal with some of their chronic disorganization at work.
Okay, great. Denise is asking, how do I know if the client is really ready to change?
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. So ICD has one document, a fact sheet called Readiness for Change. I don't think it's been republished on the website yet, but it is in here. It's called Readiness for Change. And on that, they ask a whole bunch of different questions that help you identify it. I'll tell you what my personal trick is. When a client calls me and I'm on the phone, I listen to the voice very, very carefully. I listen carefully, and I have this picture in my head. Imagine that you have pain in your body, okay? Imagine that you've had the pain for months or maybe even years, and the pain, you have it all the time. And you've gone to the pharmacy and you've tried different pills and you've asked your friends, have you ever had this pain? You've tried to find solutions and you've asked doctors and you can't find a solution for the pain, and it's been going on and affecting your life for a long time. If one day it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you can't stand it anymore, and you get out of your bed and you go get in your car and you go to the hospital at 3 o'clock in the morning because you can't stand it anymore, that desperation at 3 o'clock in the morning in the hospital, that's the voice I want to hear on the phone.
Great.
I want to hear the client say to me, I can't stand this anymore. I've tried this and I've tried this and I've tried this and I can't stand it anymore. It has to change. I don't care what I have to pay. I don't care how much time and energy it takes. I can't stand it anymore. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
Because that person is ready to invest. That person is ready to change.
Yeah, it's hitting the rock bottom.
Yep.
Okay.
Not all clients hit rock bottom.
No.
But I like it when I hear that desperation, because I know they're really ready.
Yeah, some of them.
I'm sorry for them, but I know I can help.
Yeah.
Or I believe I can help. I hope I can help.
Yes. Yvonne asking, what happens if it's the family and not the person with the issue wanting our help?
Oh, that's really complex, Yvonne. That's really complex. Okay, that's complex because, like I said before, I could look at a client's life and I could say, I can help you. I can help with this disorganization. But the problem is that if it's chronic disorganization and the individual doesn't see a problem, there's almost never going to be any change. We cannot force that person to change their own life. Frequently, we get contacted by family members and sometimes by friends, and they say, I've got a client right now. His brother contacted me and the brother wants desperately for me to help, but I've worked with the client, I think 4 times, and he really doesn't care. He's happy with the way he lives. He doesn't care about the disorganization. And unfortunately, it's just something that the people around are more or less just going to have to accept, because the individual has the right to run his own life. The only limit to that is safety. So if the individual is living in a situation that is not safe, then it is more of an issue for the family to get involved, and maybe for the authorities like the firefighters or the police or whatever, because if the person is living in an unsafe environment, that can affect other people and the public resources, and therefore maybe we have the right to get involved. It can be very complex, and sometimes it's very, very sad too.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah. Well, now Sophia from Peru, hello to Peru. She's asking, when we detect that we are informed on one of these cases of chronic disorganization, what are the best ways to approach it in a way we don't create an alarm to the client?
Well, one thing to do is to watch the way that you express on your face. So don't show shock and horror. Be like someone playing a card game and be very neutral. Second of all, in my head, I have changed the way that I look at these people and the way that I think about these folks. I don't think of this as a person with an awful challenge. I think of this as a person who I have the opportunity to maybe partner with and help. So I try, instead of looking at negatively, I always try to look at it positively. That's one thing. Second of all, another thing that I think is extremely important is to use what we call respectful language. So if I say, I have a hoarding client, the first thing that you think of is hoarding. So it's like a label on the human being that says hoarder. And that's not really fair, because this is an individual with a whole life, and the hoarding disorder is just or hoarding behavior is just a part of who they are. So if we turn that language around and we say this is a person affected by hoarding disorder, then it's respectful, and we're reminding ourselves that it's a human being that we're dealing with who happens to have a challenge. They happen to have the challenge of hoarding disorder, or they happen to have a challenge of chronic disorganization, but it's a person first. And I think that's really helpful. It's the basis of helping us speak and address the person respectfully and with kindness and compassion.
Yes, you're right. Kind, respect, body language, active listening, and don't label people, please.
Yes. Yes.
That's a huge mistake. We in some cases, we commit that mistake. And it's not
so
good.
we try to catch ourselves and we try to do better. Yep.
Yeah. So far, I think that's all the questions.
Nacho, before we close up, may I add one more thing, please? I think it's very important. I didn't touch on it and nobody asked about it. I don't want to go into great detail, but if this is our only opportunity for me to talk with you, there's one thing I think is very important. I just want to make a comment about hoarding disorder, okay?
Okay, please.
Chronic disorganization is big. Chronic disorganization can include very many things. And often people assume that it's all about hoarding disorder. First of all, it's not. It can be about many things. Hoarding disorder is only a part of chronic disorganization. That's one thing. Please understand, chronic disorganization is much, much bigger than just hoarding disorder. The second thing that's very important to understand, hoarding disorder is a clinically diagnosed mental health disorder. I don't have the right to say, oh, that person has hoarding disorder. I don't have the right to diagnose that. Only a psychiatrist has the right to diagnose that.
Yes.
What I do, my language, I'm allowed to say, I see what might be hoarding disorder. I can say that. I can say, I see hoarding behavior, because hoarding behavior is this. It doesn't mean the person has a diagnosis. So I encourage all professional organizers to be very cautious about using the term hoarding disorder and never diagnose ourselves and try to share this education with the public, because the public often jump to bad conclusions, unhelpful conclusions, and it's our responsibility to teach the public we don't have the right to diagnose. That's a psychiatrist who diagnoses. Let's deal with what we see, and leave the diagnoses to the professionals.
Great. You light a fire now, because Yvonne is asking, how do you work with a person with hoarding problems and don't get involved with the feelings and sadness?
It's a challenge. It's a big challenge. I've had a number of clients over my 9 years. I've had about 4 clients who have really serious hoarding disorder challenges. 3 of them have been formally diagnosed by psychiatrists, so I know it is truly hoarding disorder. It's difficult. The most challenging thing for me is that I don't feel as hopeful. When I work with someone who has chronic disorganization challenges, I feel very optimistic, because I'm bringing so many strategies and so much understanding. And I know from experience, there's so much that I can help that person with, because there's so many different parts to it. When it's hoarding disorder, like really truly hoarding disorder, it starts in the brain and it's very big and it's very powerful. And there's not very much that we can do to impact on that. There are some things, and there are some professional organizers who have more skill and training than I do, who have been able to make really true success with these clients. I have had some success with them, but it's not something I feel very optimistic about. So it's very difficult sometimes to work with this clientele, and yet it's worth trying. Because if we can help someone, it's worth trying. The education is the biggest key, though. Getting the education helps us go and work with these clients in a responsible way, and to not be overwhelmed by the sadness.
Yeah, actually, Yvonne asked this question because she worked once with some kind of, with people with some kind of problem, and she was just starting to get involved. Actually, she and I had a talk about that, don't getting involved.
Yeah.
So Rosalba from Texas, sorry, she's asking, she has a friend, she's totally willing to change and put some order in the closet, but she lived with the parents, and she went to the house, they started the job, and because they didn't finish that day, At the other day, she sends a message to talk with the mother because she get all the things she discarded first to again in the closet. How can we manage those cases where someone is ready to change, but others are not that ready to change or accepting that change?
Yeah, that's a big challenge for sure. The first thing is, I think we have to recognize that when we live with other people, there will always be compromise. It's inevitable. We have to make compromises. If we live with other people, we're going to have to negotiate somewhere. It's guaranteed. That's one thing. Second, so what I'm saying is that this woman, this person, does not have 100% control of her environment because she shares it with her parents. So that's one thing. It's just a reality. Second of all, I would encourage that individual, the client, to think about what's really important to her now and what her goals are, to really be clear about it, and then to sit down with the parents and have a frank conversation. That's what I would recommend. I would ask, is it possible that you could have this conversation with your parents and sit down and express to them how important this is to you, why it's important and how it's important and what you're trying to accomplish? Because maybe the mother doesn't understand how important it is, and maybe she doesn't understand what the client is working towards. And if they have a conversation, maybe she would be able to come to understand and support what the client is trying to do.
Great. So in Alejandra from Argentina, she's asking, how can you continue the relationship with your client in the cases of hoarding issues? How can you continue your relationship with them? I think she's trying to know how do you get a real relationship with that client without being affected in the time. I don't know if it's that clear enough for you.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
The first thing is, it's very important to maintain a professional relationship with the client. That's one thing. So the boundaries of our relationship, it's very important to keep that in mind. So our professional associations like NAPO and POC, et cetera, our national associations, they help us with an ethical guideline and a code of ethics. ICD also has a code of ethics that help us understand where boundaries are. So that's one thing. I always need to behave professionally with my clients.
Okay.
Second of all, I think with a client who has really true hoarding disorder, and most of them don't, it's only 5% of the population approximately, but the clients I have who are living with actual hoarding disorder, I just have to be realistic that maybe I won't be able to help them very much, and maybe this is going to be a very small contract, because if they're not ready for change and if they can't work with me, and if we may not get very far.
Okay, probably this will answer her next question from Alejandra too. How can we handle the team of someone booking an organization session, and the day we're supposed to get there, nobody is answering or calling, you know, like, so we need to be.
Okay, so I have a document called a client agreement. And when I first meet with the client, if I first step for me is I do a phone call. So 15 or 20 minutes on the phone, and I listen to the voice and I ask some questions. I'm trying to find out the challenges that they have and the goals that they have. How does it match with my skills and my experience? So do I think we can make a partnership? That's on the phone. If we both feel confident that we want to work together, then I will go to their home and spend about an hour walking through and asking a lot of questions. And again, they are evaluating me and I'm evaluating them to try to figure out if I'm a good match. If at that point, if we both say, yes, let's start working together, then I pull out my client agreement, and it's a piece of paper, and it says on there what my rate is and my cancellation policy. And my cancellation policy says that the client has to give me 24 hours written notice. That's like an email or a text, 24 hours before the appointment, or else I'm going to charge them for 2 hours, because I don't want to waste my time, and I want them to take it seriously. If they can make an appointment with me, no problem, and I will be there. But if they cancel or don't show up or forget, I think that I need to be compensated. That's just a business decision that I made. This is not ICD. This is just Allison. Okay. And so I have it in the contract, and they have to sign the it's not a contract. It's an agreement. It's just a communication, just to be really, really clear. I'm going to charge you for 2 hours if you don't show up, or if you cancel with just a few hours notice.
Okay.
Over the 9 years that I've been working, I have only ever had maybe 6 or 7 times I've had a client cancel with less than 24 hours notice, and only about twice have I actually charged the client. The other times when they canceled, it's because they had a really serious reason, and I felt like, oh, that's perfectly understandable, no problem, and I didn't charge them. It's only the people who didn't take it seriously and who were just, I have an appointment, I don't care. Those are the only ones I ever charged. So I encourage you to think about what would work for you in your context, what would be reasonable and what you feel comfortable with, and figure out something simple that you could use. Because this clientele, this is one thing about this clientele, they're disorganized. So it's very possible they will forget their appointments. Ask the client, did you write it down in your agenda? Some organizers send a text the day before to remind them about an appointment for tomorrow so that they don't forget. You figure out what works for you and your client.
Okay, great. So next question is from, let me check. I lost. Liliana from Cancun. What do you suggest to tell the clients who has an issue about organization and they are transmitted that into their children or grandchildren? This is a good question.
It's an excellent question. So the first question in my mind is the person motivated to have any change? So the older person, that's the first question. Are they motivated? If they are at all interested in working with me, I recognize the impact that they have on their children and grandchildren, and in a very gentle way, very gentle and very respectful, I might bring it up once in a while if it's appropriate and say, this is even more reason for you to get organized and get things under control. Think about how much more time you'll have available for your children and your grandchildren if you're more organized. Think about what a wonderful example you'll be setting. Always try to put it in the positive sense if possible. People don't like to be hit over the head with negative things. They like to be encouraged and inspired. So the choice of language is very, very powerful. So I would use that, but not in a way to shame them, but to encourage them and inspire them.
Okay, great. And I think that was the last question for now. So I think we're done here.
Okay. Well, thank you all again for your participation and your interest in professional education and in ICD. And a very sincere thank you to Nacho for organizing this and for your care and attention and your time and the translation and translating all those amazing resources. I am so grateful and excited that you're translating all these resources into Spanish. This is very significant. And if there's ever any additional questions that you have, of course, I'm sure Nacho would be available to help you, but also you're very welcome to contact me. You can find my coordinates on the internet or through ICD. I'm on the ICD webpage. And we just want to help you be the most successful professional organizer that you can, because then you go out and you help your clients, and it's good for all professional organizers if you do the best job that you possibly can with your clients.
Excellent. So do you want now that we put our video on so you can meet all the people that is now with us?
Sure, that's a great idea. I would love to see everybody's faces.
Please, yeah. Thank you. Please put your video on. Por favor, prendan su cámara to say hello. No importa que estén en pijama. It doesn't matter if you are on your PJs.
It's true.
Don't worry. I think this is the right moment to let them know if you can make it to Orlando, you probably can make it to our next event in 2020. Don't you think?
That's an excellent idea. Why don't you tell them about it, Nacho?
Okay, in 2020, we're going to have a virtual assembly. It's like a conference, but using this very same platform through Zoom, and we are having speakers and connecting with each other. So virtually, you can have this virtual assembly from your house, from the beach, from the, I don't know, woods, wherever you have an internet connection, you can have that virtual assembly. Probably next October, we'll have more details about it, and I'll let you know about that fabulous event. I attended the last virtual assembly, and it was really, really good. It's one-day event for several hours, and it is good. And it's cheaper than going to an in-person conference, if you like. So thank you very much to all of you for sharing this moment with us. Especially thank you very much, Allison, for giving.
My pleasure.
Okay.
Would it be okay if we take a screenshot?
Yeah, why not?
Let's give people just 5 seconds warning. If you don't want to be in this picture, just turn off your camera. But we would be so grateful to have your picture on screen so we can take a picture of this.
Yeah, we love that. We love having pictures of this.
Okay, ready? I'll take some pictures. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Great.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
I have nothing else to add. I am so grateful to you all for being here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And see you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.